Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video I thought it would be fun to take a look at the lore behind Warhammer Underworlds Direchasm before we dive in and start learning all the rules. So come and join me on this journey through the realm of beasts and find out all about the Call of the Mountain. In Gur, the realm of beasts, stories abound of a mountain so immense that its shoulders vanish amidst the highest clouds, and its peak pierces the heavens themselves. Details vary, becoming even wilder and more extreme with each retelling. The mountain drags itself across the landscape with vast talons and devours those in its path. The mountain is a trapped god whose hate and madness have killed the lands about its feet. The mountain is the jutting horn of the largest god beast in all the mortal realms, or its jagged talon, or perhaps its severed skull. It is wreathed in magical storms or plagued by the ghosts of monstrous fiends, or is perhaps itself just one vast predatory horror, warped during the age of chaos and seeking to devour the realm of beasts whole. Much of this is surely hyperbole or outright fabrication. Yet there are certain details on which the stories all agree. That there is treasure is clearly evidenced by the wonders borne by those few haunted explorers who survived their journey into the mountain. Whether lodged high amongst its peaks or hidden deep in its winding bowels, there are rich deposits of loot and ancient knowledge to be claimed by those brave and determined enough to try. There is danger also, this much is for sure, for so few who venture into the mountain return. Yet its precise nature varies from one tale to another, from endless meandering mazes of tunnels to roaming beasts possessed of feral hunger, or even the dark sentience of Beastgrave itself. Strangest of all is the claim that the mountain somehow allures explorers and adventurers to it. It is said that those who seek the mountain do so only once it appears in their dreams, and that it offers whatever it senses will best entice its prey. How such a thing can be, none can say. The instant explorers set foot inside the mountain, it has them. Some may feel panic stir, but in truth it is too late for such misgivings. There is no turning back, and only a steady nerve and a predator's merciless guile will see them through the horrors that lie ahead. Pressing deeper into Beastgrave, they find vast caverns that reverberate to the slightest sounds. Acidic fluids drip and trickle from above, and craps and fuses drool molten amber that rolls inexorably down corridors and engulfs whole chambers. In places, entire walls or floors may be formed from hardened amber that seems to recede into the distance for league upon leagues. Those who stare too long into the golden brown depths are wont to see ancient treasures glinting just out of reach, strange lights flickering in the gloom, or the tortured features of those the mountain has claimed. Nor is it only the mountain and its hazards that explorers must fear. Rival adventuring bands bring their own perils, bearing weapons into the depths and clashing violently over treasure, honour, or the hope of escape. Those who battle in Beastgrave are forever changed. The more blood they shed upon its thirsting stones, the more predatory and feral they become. Senses sharpen, aggression is honed to a fine point. The tunnels and caverns become their viciously defended territories. Soon, many forget their original intent altogether. Thoughts of escape fade, drowned by the instinct to hunt, to slay, and to revel in the bloody joy of the kill. These dangers, coupled with the conflicts that erupt between rival adventuring parties, have always ensured that a scant few of those who venture into Beastgrave live to tell of their ordeal. The Katophrane Curse. The Katophrane Curse began in the city of Shadespire in Shyish, the realm of death. The rulers of that city were great scholars and masters of lore, known as the Katophranes. In their hubris, they used their abilities to trap their mortal essences in shade-glass mirrors and so evade the clutch of death. Yet Nagash, the god of the underworlds, is not so easily denied. In revenge, he unleashed a curse upon Shadespire that cast it out of reality and into the void beyond. The citizens of Shadespire were damned, condemned to a purgatorial twilight existence in which true death was impossible. For centuries, the Katophrane curse was confined to Shadespire. Then came the Shyish Necroquake, a magical cataclysm that shook the realms and fractured the enchanted glassworks at Shadespire's heart. Splintering outwards from the mirrored city, cracks in reality spread the Katophrane curse across the realms. Deep beneath the surface of Beastgrave, telltale fissures appeared. Pallid gaslights spilt out, illuminating grottos that had only ever known darkness, and jagged fault lines spread through the mountain's feral heart. Where the cracks broke ancient amber, their fell light stirred the remains trapped within. Once dead monsters writhed free of their splintered prisons to prowl and hunt in the shadows once more. In other places, wild-eyed bands of killers crossed into Beastgrave from the ghostly galleries of Shadespire, attacking any who stood in their paths as they sought their freedom from the city's ancient curse. The mountain's depths were corrupted by Nagash's magic, and it was changed forever. For all his triumphs following the Shyish Necroquake, Nagash looked out across the mortal realms with restless ambition, seeing much more work to be done. Not until every realm lay beneath the cold shroud of his Necrotopia would his legions know rest. Only then would the supremacy of death be established beyond doubt. Looking to Gur, the supreme lord of the undead beheld a realm heaving with savage and primal life, its flora and fauna, even the landscape itself, locked in vigorous cycles of mutual predation. To tame Gur, to still its quick pulse and bring the hush of the grave to its hot-blooded denizens would be the ultimate victory of death over destruction. To this end, Nagash dispatched Ossiarch Bone Reapers of the Ivory Host to the realm of beasts. He expected his relentless phalanxes to make swift progress through that realm's unruly lands, defeating all before them through their peerless discipline and coordination. However, their mission would not prove so easy, for the wild spirit of Gur was on the rise. It began like the throbbing of distant drums. Across Gur, primitive energy swelled in the earth and the air, raising the realm's natural savagery to new heights. As the primal beat quickened, new warlords battered their way to dominance, only to be toppled by murderous rivals. Marauding tribes made pacts of convenience, then brutally devoured their allies when opportunity struck. Yet when the Ivory Legion entered Gur, the forces of destruction rose against them, as though a realm-wide muster had been sounded. Bellowing in unison, aurochs and ogres broke off their brawling and turned their crude weapons to the annihilation of the invaders, not pausing to wonder what power brought them together. Though few alive knew it, the awakening was not a unique event, but a primal reaction that had been triggered in earlier generations and would be again. Nor were its effects limited to Gur's warriors. Forests creaked in agitation, eager to uproot themselves and overpower the grasslands. Rivers ran faster and deeper, breaking their ancient banks in a hunt for prey to sweep away or drown. Even the mountains stirred from slumber, shaking the snow from their peaks and, in some cases, resuming their volcanism. For Beastgrave, the advent of each previous uprising had been a time of renewal, a chance for the mountain to entice a fresh host of champions into its shadowy depths and see in the new season with a hearty feast. Since the last Great Awakening, however, a ghastly blight had settled in Beastgrave's tunnels. The creeping magic of the Katophrane curse had spread like a tapeworm through the mountain's bowels, depriving it of its usual nourishment. Despite the steady flow of adventurers that picked their way up its slopes and quested within, the mountain was denied its rightful bounty of flesh. Those who were slain amongst Beastgrave's echoing caverns returned to life once more, their revenant spirits gripped by the magic of Nagash. Driven mad by starvation and anger, Beastgrave awoke early, before Gur's primal resurgence was complete. From its cloud-wreathed summit to its deepest roots, raw emotion coursed through the awoken mountain as its desire for superiority mingled with desperate hunger. To those who hunted and battled inside it, these energies were intoxicating. Adventurers found their grip on their own emotions loosening as Beastgrave's hunger to dominate invaded their minds. Warriors already seized by predatory instincts now felt driven to prove their primacy as hunters, while those warbands still bound together by discipline or lofty ambition began to place the destruction of their foes above all else. The deeper into the mountain the fighters delved, the stronger these emotions became. Tunnels and caverns, far from the surface, echoed with furious combat as Beastgrave's rage materialized in every fighter. Nowhere was this more true than at the mountain's roots in the abyssal reaches known as Direchasm. For untold years this region had been inaccessible, filled with solid amber, but as Beastgrave woke, the resinous matter in its lowest levels liquefied and leached away, revealing sticky cavities unexplored in living memory. Descending to these deepest places, warbands became consumed by the mountain's primal emotion and fought even more rabidly over the new territory and artifacts they found. So intense was the violence that few stopped to marvel at the strange underworld the amber had revealed. Glistening passages opened into echoing voids, each one dimly lit by red light that glowed from every cleft and gully. Smaller, tomb-like rooms adjoined these, many of them rich with what might have been grave goods, or the treasures of some primeval civilization trapped in the amber before they could be retrieved. The rocky walls were hot to touch, and the ground heaved and shifted, as though the mountain itself was on the move, one small convulsion at a time. But it was not just the shifting rock that moved in the gloom of Direchasm. Ancient horrors held in stasis by the amber were now free to stalk the mountain's depths. Enraged by their long imprisonment, these malicious beings prowled the deepest tunnels and caves, desperate to break their fast and build the strength they would need to exact revenge upon Beastgrave. Warbands battling through Direchasm caught occasional glimpses of large, spined shapes moving out of the crimson light, but thought no more of them unless a comrade was later dragged screaming into the shadows. The amber of Direchasm had also hidden beings who had deliberately embraced the deathly sleep it offered. These were the Silent People, a mysterious race whose existence had long been speculated. Crude cave paintings and weird statuary had convinced some that the Silent People were the original excavators of Beastgrave's tunnels, or a vanished priestly caste who had filled the mountain with their offerings, or even the mountain's arcane masters. In truth, the Silent People were an intelligent migratory species that worked in symbiosis with Beastgrave and other sentient mountains. As Gur entered each period of slumber, they would gather their finest treasures and withdraw to cells they had bored far beneath the surface. In Beastgrave, they invited the mountain's oozing amber to swallow them, securing them in resinous tombs where they could safely pupate and renew their insectile forms. This time, the mountain had awoken prematurely, however, exposing the Silent People in a larval stage of their hibernation. As the amber sluiced out of Direchasm, the Silent People wriggled away to other dark places, their half-formed bodies forcing them to abandon the wondrous relics they had gathered. Soon, tunnels and caves that had been as silent as a sealed ziggurat were engulfed by combat, and artifacts long dormant found new keepers. Whether through courage, greed, or desperation, the mountain's prisoners fought on, their fate unknown to the realm above. Miyari's Purifiers are a graceful company of lumineth elves who glow with the power of Hysh. Steeped in learning and arcane skill, they have entered Beastgrave to calm its wrath, believing that only they have the presence of mind to resist the mountain's primal call. Their confidence may be well placed. Miyari is a master of elemental invocations, renowned for his great wisdom and insight, while the three warriors who fight alongside him epitomise different aspects of the Lumineth way of war. The Auralan Sentinel Senela is a master archer whose elegant bow is equally lethal when lofting arrows on long, arcing flights or fire them straight and true with pinpoint precision. Whatever target she chooses, the sun-metal tips of her arrows strike with a searing heat that burns her foes from within. While Senela engages the enemy at range, the Alarith Stone Guard Bahana anchors the advance. Blessed by the mountains of Hysh, the Temple Guardian walks Beastgrave's tunnels fearlessly, confident that his own elemental patrons are mightier. For each swing of his Stone Guard's hammer, the supreme swordswoman Aelin makes a flurry of thrusts and slashes, severing heads and limbs without receiving a scratch in return. Known as the Mind's Edge, Aelin is a wandering blade master who fights with Miyari on the agreement that he will one day train her in the shaping of Hyshian energies. Miyari and his kin hail from the great nation of Emetrica, a land famed for its mountainous terrain and lofty philosophies, and view their descent into Beastgrave as an extension of the Emetrican belief that to delve into the deepest chasms is to go on a journey of introspection and mental discovery. Their quest is far more than an intellectual pursuit, however. Miyari suspects that only a preemptive strike against the mountain will prevent the Katophrane curse's effects from running rampant across Gur and eventually into Hysh. To aid them in this mission, they each carry a supply of precious aether quartz. At need, they can consume some of the Realmstone's energy to gain dexterity and focus in a crucial moment. To prevail in the crimson depths of Direchasm, the Lumineth will need to use every power at their command. Having first entered Beastgrave in pursuit of visions of their missing deity Slaanesh, the depraved mortals known as the Dread Pageant were soon gripped by a new obsession, the tormenting of the sentient mountain itself. Like all Slaaneshi hedonites, the Dread Pageant are slaves to sensation, and when they first tasted Beastgrave's anguish at being denied its usual feast of flesh, they began to goad the mountain by withholding its succour, torturing their victims to the point of death while imbibing Beastgrave's despair. In the claustrophobic depths of Direchasm, the mountain's raw emotions are at their most tangible, sending the Dread Pageant into a euphoric state. The leader of the Dread Pageant is Vassalak the Gifted, a deadly spearman whose supple body is covered with ritual scars. Vassalak rose to lordship amongst the Godseeker's host at a young age, and it is said that his plumed helm hides a youthful face set with a wicked smile. To join him in Beastgrave, Vassalak selected 2 hedonites whose martial efforts would complement but highlight his own. Hadzu is a nimble archer whose cruel arrows do not kill swiftly but inflame dark desire in those they strike, while the dancer killer Glizette hopes to prove herself through acrobatic acts of face-to-face murder. Above all, both mortal delight in attacking their enemies without being hit in return. The same cannot be said of Slakeslash, a slangor who is as happy to hurt as to cause pain. Bound to Vassalak by some unspoken pact, the sinuous beast slices the hedonite lord's foes apart with its pincered limb and cruel sword. Amongst the Dread Pageant, it is in Slakeslash's bestial heart that the predatory emotion of Beastgrave finds readiest purchase, and the deeper into Direchasm the warband travels, the more ferocious the slangor becomes. For most of those in Beastgrave, the shivering cracks in reality that link the mountain to Shadespire are unnerving manifestations. For the Dread Pageant, however, these fractures offer a tantalising promise, for they lead to Earl Gish, that etheric place of captivity for Slaanesh and the mirrored city alike. In pursuit of these alluring glimpses, the hedonites push ever further into the mountain's depths. Now we've set the scene for Warhammer Underworlds Direchasm, come and join me for the rules series where we'll go through everything you need to know to play this awesome game. Everything we went through in this video was taken from the Warhammer Underworlds Direchasm rulebook, and this is a great place where you'll find background on the game and the lore and everything you need to play the game. And it's this book that I'll be using in the rules series to go through the introduction to the game, the objective, the warbands, the fighter cards, the decks, how to build a deck, and the battlefield. We'll also look at every stage of play in the game, including the game sequence, the warbands, the cards, and how to place the fighters. Then we'll look at the action phase and the end phase before going on to see what alternative rules are available for the game. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope this gave you a good idea of what Warhammer Underworlds Direchasm is all about, and I can't wait to see you in the next video where we start the rule series. So thanks so much for watching. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. If you like this kind of content and would like to support the channel, then please check out my Patreon page, and thanks to everyone who's joined so far. It's really awesome. We hang out on Discord, talk about the hobby, share ideas and help each other out, and you'll get some perks there that you're not going to find anywhere else. So I'll put a link in the description, and it'll be great to see you there.